Live with Loki. Here we are.
Hey, welcome everyone.
Even down to our green, you would think it was St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Wow. I don't have many green things. I have a lot of maroon and red things.
What I have is blue.
Yeah, but I found this dress and I was like, ooh, let's pull it out. Woohoo.
We planned to have an alligator here, but we weren't zoned for it.
Oh,
Couldn't get one here.
We don't even have a plush alligator, do we? I don't think we do. But you know they're going to make some plush Loki alligators, right?
Oh, yeah, they are.
And I'm going to want that. Woohoo! Well, welcome everyone to our Loki. Loki is taking over this TVA, right?
Yep.
Aww.
Taking over this timeline.
Yeah. So we are excited to dive deep into this show, and I think we should just... Well, go ahead.
I was going to say there will be spoilers.
Yeah.
But the show's over. We've already seen it. Meredith says it's lovely.
Welcome, Meredith in the Sky Chat. Well, great. So let's get into it, and along the way, we want to hear your comments too, so you'll see them right there in the Sky Chat.
So anyone who was with us during our Loki discussions, you're all caught up.
Yeah, that's true. Although I did dig around and find some good press stuff. I did some research on the music and things, so we're going to have some different sections here in this podcast episode than you would have heard in our Skywalking Force discussions. So yeah, looking forward to that. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Kelly Turkel with her new bedroom furniture.
Ooh. All right, so I'm going to start. And now that's what the recording starts with. All right, so you don't sound like you're very loud.
Test.
Oh, that's why. You're on level 4. Okay, do it again.
I want a level 6 or a level 8.
No.
Here we go. Hey, everyone.
Oh my God.
Hey.
That was
loud.
Hey. All right. You're not going to be that loud, are you?
We're talking about Loki.
I know.
So chances are yes.
Okay. All right. I'm turning you down.
You know, go to a 6.5. That always works.
It is. That's exactly where it is.
Well, then you know me better than I know me.
Courtney's here too.
Courtney's here with
all the ladies in the house.
hey.
Talking Loki. Woo, Loki for the ladies. Okay. I love it. And you, Richard.
I can leave, man.
That's okay. You're our Thor.
Okay. All right.
All right. Nice.
Well, Meredith is happy that we're in the same room.
That's true.
You know what? Someone tell Glenn Stein quick. He's going to want to hear this.
Yes, indeed.
Makes it very nervous that we're not in the same room.
All right. This is what you can look forward to on episode 335 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Hey, Skywalkers! Last week, we caused a Nexus event and did a classic Marvel Star Wars comics episode. But now we are back in our regular timeline. But before we launch into our Loki season breakdown, we want to welcome you to...
Skywalking Through... Did you run out of air?
No, I was... You know... One more time.
Oh, that was good.
Hey, Skywalkers! Well, last week, we caused a Nexus event and did a classic Marvel Star Wars comic episode. But now we are back in our regular timeline. But before we launch into our Loki season breakdown, we want to welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. I am Richard Woloski, but now everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sylvie. Sarah. Sarah. Nice.
Is it because I'm wearing green?
Yes, that's one of the reasons.
What's the other reason why I'm Sylvie?
Because you like to be in charge.
Oh, okay, that's right. You know, when we were playing water volleyball, everyone was calling me the coach.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
And because you think things through sometimes.
All right. Should I let you off the hook and just welcome everyone to Skywalking Through Neverland?
I can go on, but I think I would get in really big trouble. But you've seen Loki. You know how Sylvie is.
I do. Okay.
When the going gets tough, she wants to behead.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I know what you did last night.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, Skywalkers, you may not know it, but we are your enthusiastic podcast destination
Well, I think they know it by now.
for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel fandom. So it's time to give everyone a big Wookiee hug and a sprinkle of pixie dust
And now enchant them.
and perhaps a Loki dagger.
No!
No!
That goes against being a podcast destination. That goes against being a very happy place to be.
Okay, you're right. So no daggers, no Loki daggers, but I like your enchanting idea. So how about everyone? We're going to enchant you for this hour and change.
Hour and 3 minutes.
Yes.
I've seen the timeline. Then again, King just faxed me the end of the show, so
Oh,
I know how it's going to end.
nice.
Oddly enough, King still faxes.
Did you have to sign off on it? Like, this is everything you've ever said?
Yeah, then I had to fax him back. There was a lot of paperwork involved in this show.
Yes, that's very true. Well, Skywalkers, if you're just listening for the first time, now you know that we go off the rails sometimes. It's pretty fun. But we are also live.
And every time we do, it causes a Nexus event. Every time we make a tangent comment, it causes another Nexus.
Yes. All right, so let's try to get back to that sacred timeline and tell everyone that, you could be watching us live right now on YouTube or Facebook. So welcome, Skywalkers. And if we do happen to read some comments, that's because people are watching us live right now and they are commenting in our Sky Chat, which you can see.
All right, now we are recording this from Long Beach, California on July the 21st, 2021.
Ooh.
So now I've got to ask Minnie the big question. Minnie Mouse, what time is it?
Uh-oh.
What was that?
Alligator Loki has taken over. I don't know
Is
if
that
he
what
ate
an alligator
Minnie.
sounds like?
It is my alligator.
You know what? The TVA is really hating you right now. I'm just saying, I'm trying to keep us on the timeline. You keep causing the Nexus events.
Well,
They keep branching off.
if Classic Loki were here, he'd tell us what the alligator just said.
If C-15 busts in the door right now, I'll say, you know what? Nothing I could have done. Try to
No.
keep her on track.
All right, well, speaking of on track, we are being sponsored by Small World Vacations. They are a diamond-level Disney vacation planner travel agency and can help book your trip to Disney parks around the world. And best of all, their service is free of charge. So head to smallworldvacations.com for a no-obligation price quote and tell them that Skywalking Through Neverland sent you. And use them to visit Marvel Campus over here in DCA.
And when you do, tell Loki we said hello.
Yeah.
Now, coming up on this episode, we will give you our thoughts on Loki Season 1. And this will come with spoilers.
Yes.
Yeah, we share great press tidbits, soundtrack moments, and your thoughts too. All your comments from our Facebook group and from the Sky Chat.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have shout-outs, but right now, I can't wait for this. Let's jump right into it. For all time, always.
And then spoiler. Okay. All right, so we are going to get into our Loki series review right now. So right off the bat, we're going to hit you with some information in case you're listening to this years later and don't quite remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the Loki series picks up right after a moment we see in Avengers Endgame. In that film, the Avengers have traveled through time to pick up the various Infinity Stones, and they've bungled an attempt to pick up the Tesseract, which is the Space Stone. And instead, Loki seizes that opportunity and takes the Tesseract and disappears. Now, that's what we see in Endgame, but this series picks up right after that moment. This causes a Nexus event in the sacred timeline, because back in the original Avengers film, Loki is captured and taken back to Asgard by Thor. So now we see in the Loki TV series, he reappears in Mongolia where he's captured by the TVA, the Time Variance Authority. And that is a bureaucratic organization that exists outside of time and space and monitors the timeline. And they give Loki a choice: face being erased from existence due to being a time variant, or help fix the timeline and stop a greater threat, another Loki variant.
Or variants. This is plural.
Indeed.
All right, now this series consisted of 6 episodes on Disney Plus. Could have been at least 24. No one would have complained. Directed by Kate Herron, written by Michael Waldron, and music by Natalie Holt. And I'm going to go ahead and say this now: one of the best soundtracks to any of the MCU properties. I said it, okay?
It was pretty amazing, and we're going to get into that soundtrack a little later. All right, now, this news just in from Deadline.com. After Loki scored the best series premiere for Disney Plus and the MCU over 5 days with 2.5 million households. Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me try that again. All right, now we have some information from the internet, and it is not verified by Disney, but Samba TV has been reporting downloads of streaming services because they have like this box that over 1 million people have in their households. So from there, they're like extrapolating information.
So it's like the Nielsen's.
It is the Nielsen, but for
ratings.
like streaming. Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So you know what? I consider this verified.
Right. Okay. So the Loki series premiere was seen by over 2.5 million households, and the Loki season finale was seen by almost 2 million households. And this is from a period of about 5 days, so July 14th through 18th. And so one interesting thing to note about this is that this beats the season finale streams of both WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
You know, you look at this as compared to something like Friends. They used to get like 23 million per week.
Oh, yeah. Well,
but it's a whole different game.
It's a whole different ball game.
It's all different now.
Even with movies, like Black Widow numbers are very interesting to look at.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, it's like, what do we... And the same thing, like Black Widow, Samba TV is also cataloged Black Widow streams. And they've calculated that actually more people downloaded Black Widow the week after opening than the first week. Like, it almost doubled in downloading at home, which is interesting.
Yeah, and back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we had like 10 channels to choose from.
Yeah. 10
good channels to choose from. Unless you wanted to watch the Weather Channel in every single language, we didn't really have a whole lot of options when it comes to entertainment. Now, this YouTube alone, that changes everything.
That totally does.
Yeah,
all right.
And all these a la carte streaming services.
Yeah. All right, so let's start with our reactions to the Loki TV series. So we're going to have this nice conversation. So Richard, do you want to start with one of your reactions?
All right, I will. Okay, so in the beginning, I was looking forward to Loki. I liked his character in the films. I wasn't on the edge of my seat like I was for WandaVision. And when the series started, I kind of enjoyed it, but it was just not grabbing me. It just didn't get that hold on to me, and that I was really hoping for. And after seeing what Loki can do throughout the Avenger films and even the standalone films, between the chaos and destruction, now he's put in an office building. It's like he's put in an episode of Mad Men.
Oh.
And told to take a ticket, wait in line, do all these things you'd find that people would tell you to do at the bank. And he was placed in all these ordinary settings, and it just, for me, it wasn't consistent with what I expected, but that's just me.
Okay.
And, well, apparently, a lot of people thought the same thing looking at some of the reviews here. And as each episode went along, it did get more and more appealing. It opened up the characters. It really developed their wants and their needs. But when we just rewatched the whole season, I had a better understanding of what these characters were and their situations, and I loved it.
Oh.
This
So,
really needs, for me, I don't want to say for everyone, but just for me, it needed a second go around. And once we did that, uh, I couldn't. I wanted to binge the whole series in one night. Once again, the series being 6 episodes, but wanted to binge it the whole night. And he said, no, 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 let's absorb. Let's absorb.
right.
Okay, all right, okay, we'll do just that. And yeah, and so in the beginning, we weren't we were spending too much time trying to figure things out. Now we knew where things were going. We knew who everyone was. We could just sit back and enjoy it.
Kind of enjoy like the character journeys almost.
And knowing where we are, because
Okay.
at first, like, where are time variants? What? How come we never heard of this before? And it was just so much that just for me didn't. It wasn't gelling because there was so much to absorb. But now that I've absorbed it, watching it again, it's like watching it again for the first time.
Okay.
And I loved it. I would even say that I like Loki a little better than WandaVision now. And I love me some WandaVision. But now seeing the whole series, I'm kind of, preferring Loki. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in season 2.
Right, yeah. And this is the first of the MCU TV series that has gotten a season 2. So the other two were limited series, but this one, has that changeability, I want to say. Like it really feeds into another series, I would say, instead of another MCU film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because, I was into Loki. So similar to you, let's go back to my timeline here. I was interested in Loki. Again, like you, I really liked the character in, like, especially the Avengers film. I just thought he really just took over any scene he was in. And I loved his character, even if he was bad. He's exciting and mischievous, and you never know what he's going to do. So that part of his character, like, I was expecting Loki to be thrown into any situation, and he's smart and he knows what he's doing, and he figures out how to basically rule the room or rule the TVA. And so I was expecting him to do exactly what he did in this series, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time because of that, because I was ready for him to, like, backstab someone, like backstab Mobius at any moment. And I wasn't disappointed. This series had so many twists and turns, and then, of course, we got the major twist, which was that Loki was trying to chase another variant of himself, Sylvie. And it's a female Loki. So I thought that was a really cool twist. And one of my favorite things to come out of this series was not even that Loki and Sylvie interplay, but it was Mobius and Loki. So you have Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, and I could have watched a series of them talking for hours. I thought it was great. So, and in fact, episode 4 was my favorite, and this is the episode where Loki and Sylvie have spent an episode together in Lamentis, and then they are brought back in by the TVA, and the TVA agents are figuring out that they are variants. They were not created by the TVA. They're actually variants, just like Loki and Sylvie. And Loki has kind of learned to have feelings for Sylvie. I won't say love, because, it's hard, but he's trying to have feelings for her. And Mobius and Loki are, like, at this point where they've talked to each other, they've learned from each other, and both of them have grown from each other. And then Mobius gets pruned. And it's so upsetting. And yet it's so, like, it's just, what is that, emo? Like, when you're a kid or I don't know, it's just very, like, tragic. That's the word I'm coming up with. But sometimes it's fun to watch tragedy, comedy and tragedy. So I just think that episode 4 was my favorite episode and the fact that by the end of this episode, Loki is pruned too, and so our title character is now dead. And you're like, what just happened? We still have 2 episodes to go.
I miss the old days when a character was killed, they stayed dead. But now it's hard to feel any kind of sympathy for a character when they get killed, because they'll be right back. Even if it's not in this series, in another spin-off or something else, it'll be right here again, so you can't ever feel bad. And that's the one thing that always kept me away from Star Trek, because Spock was killed in what, number 2? And then brought back in number 3. It's like, well, you know what? When Obi-Wan was killed in Star Wars, he stayed. He came back as a ghost, but he was still dead. But and I might be wrong with whole. I think Kevin Toft is here. Kevin, help me out here. Did Spock came back in like Star Trek 4 or 5? Didn't he?
He definitely came back. It was the Search for Spock. Whatever one that one.
Okay, I think that was number 3.
Okay.
Right. So he came back, and even as like a teenager, I thought, wait a minute, I want to feel sympathy when these characters that we've been following along and really grew to admire or have a connection with, all of a sudden they're dead. It burned you up inside. Now, with all these timelines and multiverses, someone dies, like, all right, well, we'll see you again in the next multiverse movie. So, point being, when Mobius was killed, I was heartbroken. Oh no, I love this character now. Oh, they did away with him. And then when Loki was pruned, I was like, oh, all right. Okay. We'll see you in about 3 minutes, Loki.
Which we did.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought they should have let us stew on that one.
Well,
instead of
but that was
us
what, episode 4?
Yeah.
So of course he was going to come back. So why do that when we already know the outcome? But when Mobius came back in the void, I was happy, but at the same time I was like, I was just mourning your loss, and now you're here again.
Driving a Pizza Planet truck.
Yeah.
Not
so
lightning.
I was hoping that character would have been lost, and there would have been something, a big plot point in this series. Kind of like when Coulson was killed in the Avengers. It's like, oh, now I just lost my first and only friend, says Loki. Now we've got to, I really want to tear down whatever this is. Would have given him more of a push and more of an inspiration to bring down this TVA, burn it to the ground.
Okay, interesting. Okay, that's a good point. But then we got that amazing moment in episode 5 where Loki hugs Mobius and says,
yes,
my friend. Like, so he wasn't done with his journey of friendship with Mobius. So that's why Mobius was brought back.
Well then, but had they had that moment earlier,
right,
where Loki made a friend in Mobius, and they had that big hug out moment in episode 3 or even earlier in episode 4, then Mobius is pruned, it would have had a bigger emotional impact.
But I think Loki was led to hug Mobius because of the fact that he thought his friend was dead for a while.
Well, of course. And Loki wasn't he was about to go back to the TVA at that point. Mm-hmm. So
no, Mobius was going to go back to the TVA.
Right. So he was hugging his friend because, hey, you're going to go back. We're going to continue this journey. I just want to give you this emotional hug.
Yeah, Loki was about to fight Elias with Sylvie.
Right.
So he might die. So.
And I understand that.
Right.
I just wanted a bigger emotional impact on this series, like losing characters that you really like.
Well, that's just horrible.
It is, but you know what? That's what you call drama.
I know, and tragedy. All right, so do you have a particular favorite episode? I know we just rewatched them over the course of like 2.5 days.
Since we binged them, I've got no idea where one ended and the other one began.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say maybe episode 2.
Okay.
That's where they go back to Costco.
Yes, Rock's Cart.
Yeah, that one. And I just love all the interplay with the enchanted people including C-15. Is it CB-15 or C-15?
Hunter, yeah, C-15.
Yeah, and the interplay with her, and when she wakes up, she's got that look like, what just happened? I saw something. How did that even come about?
Yeah.
And we'll get into her a little bit later on, but I think that was one of my favorite episodes because we really saw Loki almost to the point of confusion. Which way do I go here?
Yeah, he had a choice. Does he stay with the TVA or does he go on into the time door with Sylvie?
Oh, he's a Loki.
Yeah, he was going to go to Sylvie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, this series, one of the reasons I really love this series, and same with all of them. So all the MCU series, WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki, they all have these themes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these resonating themes, they're very deep shows if you want them to be. Like, you can watch them and just have fun with them, but you can also watch them and then analyze, like, the themes that are being brought up. And so in this series, there's like a big theme about free will. Like, if we're all on this timeline that is, let's say, the sacred timeline, and we're all kind of living our lives, but if we choose a path that maybe the sacred timeline doesn't want us to, and we're pruned from that, like, what does that say about our free will? You know, how much free will do we actually have?
Oh, none whatsoever.
Right. And yet, most people live their lives not knowing about the TVA, at least in the MCU. This is all as if we're in the MCU. So, I thought, I mean,
this series was just heavy on themes.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing for a series to really propel itself, because then it means something.
Right. And, I mean, at the end of this series, even the people we assume are bad at the end, like Ravonna, the judge, you know, she, like, is she aligned with the Timekeepers / He Who Remains, or does she not know about him? And the last thing she says when she's leaving, and she's going on some kind of mission, which we'll see in season 2, I'm sure, is she says to Mobius, Mobius asks her, where are you going? And she says, in search of free will. So she, too, kind of has the same goal as Loki and Mobius, but Loki and Sylvie? Oh, okay. So she kind of has the same goal as Loki and Sylvie, which is free will. Like, that was the whole point of stabbing He Who Remains, so that everyone has free will and there is no TVA. But she's going about it in a different way, I believe.
Which is, what do you think?
Oh, okay.
You
Do you want to get into speculation? I have a thought.
Yeah, because you would think that if she wants the same thing as everybody else,
right,
she would say, Mobius, pick up that pruning device, let's go.
Right. No, but she has a different plan, and I think because of the comics, in the comics, she has a relationship with one of the Kang the Conqueror versions.
Okay.
Or He Who Remains, or something. She has some kind of relationship with this guy.
Whenever you say He Who Remains, I'm always thinking Voldemort was in this.
I know. And so I think she is going off in search of this person to team up with them, and then eventually perhaps take over. But that way.
Another character hidden out there that.
No, whoever's in charge of the TVA, she wants to buddy up to them, cozy up to them.
But that would be He Who
Remains, right?
Remains.
Right. Exactly. So that's what I think she's doing. I could be completely wrong about that, and it's only based on the fact that the comics have her.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a level there that will be definitely explored in season 2, coming to Disney Plus sometime in the distant future.
It's set to start shooting early next year. So
yeah.
So
we're looking at Christmas of 2022.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanna ask you a question. What makes a Loki a Loki?
Tom Hiddleston. Or an alligator. Or Richard E. Grant.
Well, that's too many answers now.
Oh, okay.
What do you
Well,
think?
as Loki said in the show, Loki is someone who craves attention. Lokis are just that little kid inside of an adult trying, clawing their way to get out. A Loki creates chaos and mischief and everything they can do to say, look at me, look at me, look at me. Chaos is the one thing a Loki excels at, so he wants it. If he can excel at it, he wants it because that's the only way he's going to get attention. And he knows Loki, depending on what variant we're talking about, they know that they are a one-trick pony. So while he loves the attention and the chaos and the destruction and even death, they also despise it too. It's not really, if they have to create this chaos, then they will. Because in the end, they will get what? Attention. And of course, every Loki is not the same,
Right.
but at their core, they're just about chaos. I'm looking at you, alligator Loki, even you too. So that, to me, is what makes Loki a Loki.
Okay. And I want to kind of go into why he craves attention.
Okay.
Right.
And then after that, we'll read Corwin of Amber's very long Sky Chat message.
Yes, amazing. All right, so what I think makes a Loki, yes, he craves attention, but the reason why is because he was the child that was not, he has grown up in the shadow of his brother Thor. And Thor, in the Asgardian society, is the model to look at. Like, he's the warrior, he's strong,
He's the poster
muscular,
child.
he's the poster child, exactly. And poor Loki, he was always the opposite of that. Skinny, scrawny, dark-haired. He was imbued with these magical powers instead of warrior muscles, basically. But he found that he could get the attention he craved by causing mischief and causing chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. He steals things to steal attention, basically.
Yeah. Oh, he's that child screaming to get out, screaming to be heard.
Yes. And, I mean, unfortunately for Loki, he just would never let anyone get too close to his heart because he felt he couldn't trust anyone. Like, even I think he's got major daddy issues. His father is always is always loving Thor and saying, why can't you be more like him, and don't use your magic and all this stuff. And if you ever want to get a cool insight into Loki's head, I do recommend this novel that is pretty new. I think it's only 2 years old, and it's called Loki, Where Mischief Lies, and it is by Mackenzie Lee, and it's a young adult novel, but it follows Loki as kind of this teenager, and it goes through like what's in his head about all this stuff. So it really helped reading that book. I actually listened to it on Audible, but it helped me listening to that and then watching this series, because I could totally like see his trajectory. Right.
Can we read a couple of these comments here, especially from Kevin Toft, who's just screaming to
I will, but let me wrap up my conversation here. So basically, Loki craves that attention, craves chaos, because he was never the chosen child. But according to the sacred timeline, Loki will never win. He is always there to make others great, the Avengers. And that's what we see in episode 1 of the Loki TV series. So if Loki steps outside of that boundary, he's pruned. So, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
He's got a very, very thin line to walk.
Exactly. Yeah, poor guy. He loses a lot. All right, so let's read some comments.
Kevin Topp says, what makes a Loki low-key? Nothing. Sitting in a corner by himself.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's odd. His name is Loki, but that's one of those Nordic names.
Yes.
But to us, like Loki. Remember when we saw the Flurkin at the Captain Marvel press conference? And the woman said to us, before we bring Flurkin out, which is the little kitty cat, you've got to be Loki. I said, no, we don't want to see Loki. We want to see Flurkin. She looked at me like, what? And then she got him. Oh, hours of laughter. So Kevin Toft also says in the Sky Chat, so he's a little Thor about his lot in life? Oh.
Where is my meme of Captain Picard? All right. Thank you, Kevin.
And Meredith Duckworth says he's all drama.
Yes.
All right. So, Sarah. Yeah, go ahead and read Corwin of Amber.
Yes.
Who's got a very insightful view on things.
All right. So the implication is that the sacred timeline is the timeline that the Kang we meet comes from. When a Nexus event occurs, it splits the timeline and can potentially lead to another Kang, so the TVA fulfills its function to keep that from happening. Yes. It can also be guessed that variations can occur as long as they are not enough to cause the timeline to split, or basically create a Nexus event. So the sacred timeline might not be completely set and may be a bit malleable. All right, so Corwin of Amber is talking about that whole free will aspect to the timeline. Like, yes, you can step outside your boundaries a certain amount, but if you go too far, like classic Loki trying to go find his brother Thor because he missed him, right? Then nope, sorry. I guess I guess if Thor and Loki make up, that's like not part of the sacred timeline. Yeah. Okay. I love it. All right, so let's get into characters.
Okay.
All right. Now, which characters were you most interested in seeing their backstory?
Oh, Mobius.
Yeah.
Mobius. Well, we've seen so much of Loki. We know the whole series is going to be based on his backstory and what makes a Loki tick. So we knew we were already going to get that. But then it came to Mobius. And at first, like I said in our Zoom discussions on Friday nights, Owen Wilson kind of threw me off of Mobius because in that first episode, he was just too Owen Wilson. There were way too many Owen Wilson lines in there that could have been easily cut. And Owen Wilson has done an amazing amount of work in drama, and where he wasn't Owen Wilson.
Okay.
So the fact that he was bouncing back to his basket of tricks, it threw me off. But you just can't help not loving Owen Wilson.
Right?
and even Mobius. I love the two of them together. The two of these. I love Mobius and I loved Owen Wilson. And I wanted them separated at first, not so much. As we went along, they lightly intertwined. And so as the show went along, we knew of Mobius's what he really wants, and he just wants to do his job. Whenever he's talking to Renslayer, he just wants to do his job, and that's what he's all about. But then you start to open up his world, and he wants a jet ski.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And he has he's drinking some kind of Coke or something that's like from the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Some kind of soda from the 90s.
I never cut that.
Yeah.
And how can you not feel sorry for him when Loki destroys his salad?
Oh.
And the look in his face, like,
that was upsetting.
I know. I think that was the point where I said,
"You fall in love."
Okay, Mobius, I accept you now as Mobius, not Owen Wilson. Because
don't do that.
Yeah. Come on, Loki. You know you're just doing this for chaos. You know you don't need to ruin his salad.
No.
You can make this point any other way. You don't need to dump salt and pepper and someone else's juice box in Mobius' salad to make a point. But that is Loki. He'll do whatever he can, but while he's doing it, he's causing destruction.
I'm gonna go get snacks.
Yeah. So at that point, I really wanted to learn more about Mobius and where he was going. And then when he realized that he's a variant too, I wanted to call up Disney Plus and say, you know what, we're gonna name this series Mobius now. 'Cause I wanted to see more of him.
Right? And I think it was proposed in our Zoom chat for the second episode that we would have loved to see Loki and Mobius riding off into sunset on jet skis. Like that was going to be the final shot of this series.
Yeah. And when in the end, when he and Loki hugged it out, it was one of the best Marvel moments ever. Oh.
It totally ripped my heart.
Yeah,
I
just
was
thinking
like,
about it
oh.
now, just because it's Loki's got a friend.
Yes.
Loki's got, like we said earlier, Loki's got a friend, and it's Mobius.
Right.
And I'm sure, like Mobius, I mean, like Loki has said, he's how old? 1500. And in those 1500 years, he's never had a friend until now. And now he comes in a brown leisure suit, and it's Mobius.
Right. All right, well, I have to kind of piggyback on that now because the character I was most excited to see grow was Loki. I mean, yes, he's the title character, and I loved the Mobius interplay, but you went into that. So I just loved what they did with his character on the show because this is a different Loki than we see sacrificing himself in Endgame. This is something different. He's the more mischievous one who has not grown, who has not lost his mom, has not lost his dad, and has not lost Asgard when we first meet him in this series. And so, you expected that mischievousness. But then throughout the series, Loki meets Mobius, he meets Sylvie. Both of them change his kind of worldview in different ways. And Mobius is Loki's non-judgmental friend. Like, he can almost say anything to him. He knows everything about Loki, the good, the bad. You stabbed people in the back 50 times, right? And he still is, like, his friend. And so, I think it's just so cool how Loki finally, when he learned to trust, like when Sylvie touched his arm and they caused this crazy Nexus event, right? And, like, when Loki is a powerful character, but his big pitfall, his Achilles heel, is that he can't be trusted and he doesn't believe in himself enough to be the hero, right? And so, like, by the end of this show, he and Sylvie and classic Loki all believed in themselves enough to work together to defeat Goliath, that beast, and basically get to He Who Remains. And so it goes to show that Lokis can do amazing things and be the hero if they can see beyond themselves.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very, very well said.
Yeah.
Loki's got a comfort level, and he's never going to leave it.
Right.
Now, if they had ended this series of the two of them riding off on jet skis,
amazing. Maybe next season.
I'm not sure how people would have taken that.
Yeah. Oh. We need to get Mobius his jet ski though. Eventually,
I'm sure of it.
I mean, they put it in the script.
How many times a day does Owen Wilson get jet ski memes in his Twitter account?
Oh, I bet. Oh, I'm sure he's been photoshopped on plenty.
Also, I really loved Hunter B-15.
All right, before we get into that, I want to read Corin of Amber's comment just to round out our Mobius discussion. She says, a Mobius strip only has one side. Mobius only has one aspect to his nature to do his job. But when he learns his true nature, he is untwisted and has new depth. He has multi-dimensions as to what makes him tick. I love it. This is why we do this. Yay. Thank you. All right.
Oh, hold on. Meredith Duckworth says he probably gets targeted ads now too.
Of jet skis.
Yeah, I'm sure Kawasaki is just berating him with all these jet ski ads.
I love it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they sent him one for free.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so you were talking about Hunter B-15. And this is played by Wumi Masaku.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share?
Yeah. What?
Hunter B-15.
Okay. I'm sure Owen Wilson's getting inundated with jet ski ads now from Kawasaki.
There you go.
Hunter B-15. Yeah. Really like her journey. She was, at first, I thought I equated her with Captain Phasma. She's that one general who just has that one task, and that is it. There is no right and wrong. It's just the First Order, or it's just the TVA.
So it's black and white. She's very black and white.
Yeah. It's it's not her story, the series, so we couldn't dive deep into her past. I just wanted to see what made her happy when Sylvie enchanted her. The look,
Oh,
all of a sudden, she dropped her very militant disposition and she turned into a woman.
in the rain.
In the rain, exactly. It was
And
it was the whole rebirth.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, the whole rebirth scene.
Oh my God, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, that was. So
And yeah, I just wanted to see more from her. But
Yeah.
there's so much going on. They can't stop the story to show us that.
But even so, I think they did a really good job. Having watched the series through, like we did again, I think they did a really good job of touching on the points of her journey that mattered. You know, Sylvie enchants her, and she has that look afterward that if you're not thinking about it, you don't get. But once you rewatch it, it's like very apparent.
Yeah.
And then the next episode, she's like thinking, but once she gets the information from Mobius that, Mobius tells her that Loki said, oh, he just tried to throw me off track and said the TVA is lying to you. Then she puts that together with what she saw in her enchantment and then steals Sylvie away. And yeah, then you're right. She has that happy look when she makes Sylvie re-enchant her.
Oh, when she wakes up at Costco, I wanted to call it Costco. Roxcart.
Yes.
When she wakes up, yeah, she's looking around like, when you first see it, you're thinking, well, of course she's going to be confused. What just happened? But now, going through this series a second time, we know what that look is all about.
Right. Meredith Duckworth said, I wanted to hug her. Aww. And Christopher Marino says, well, she was obviously watching Mandalorian Season 3. Oh, but she's crying.
Oh, those could be happy tears.
Oh my gosh. Hmm.
So there's a lot of great characters, and I think that's why they needed a Season 2.
Yes.
They need to round out some of these great characters.
Right.
Renslayer's a principal?
Yeah, or a vice principal.
Vice
I believe.
principal, right.
Yes.
Oh, and that pen!
Yes.
From the first episode, Owen Wilson's looking at that pen, and as an audience member, we have no idea what he's looking at. What is that? Now we understand, but he's looking at that with a very quizzical expression. You think at some point he'd say, hey, why does this pen say Jefferson High School on it? Or whatever high school it was, Rydell. How come this says Rydell High School?
Yeah. He never does, and I don't know if she wouldn't know necessarily, but somehow it's in her office. Yeah, I feel.
Yeah, why would she keep that?
Well, she wouldn't know. Like, I don't think she knew she was a variant, right?
Yeah, but then wouldn't Renslayer at some point say, okay, who went to Rydell High School that's leaving all these pens on my desk?
Right. I'm not sure, but I know we're definitely going to see more of her in Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to it because she's a very much an unanswered question as to what her goal is, right? Because all we know is that she left saying she's in search of free will. So there you go. And then we have to come up on, well, there's Sylvie. We haven't even really, we've talked about her cursory, but I feel like Sylvie, though she did go through a journey, her character is not yet like all the way formed yet, and I feel like that's what Season 2 is all about. Because Loki has gone on this great character journey, and she has to an extent, but she still just needed to fulfill her goal of killing He Who Remains.
I feel bad for this character, because even, I think at the end, she knew that her journey from being a little girl of killing this one person, either the Timekeepers or He Who Must Remain.
Yeah, He Who Remains.
Yeah, him. But now, then all these other pieces of evidence are coming up that the TVA isn't what you think it is, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I have a goal. I want to complete this goal.
Yes.
I don't care that there's new facts that say the TVA is something different. I don't care about that. I've had this one goal for the last 20 years, and no matter what, I've got to see it through, even when He Who Remains.
You want to call him Kang?
Okay, I'll call him Kang. Even when Kang says, you put that dagger through my heart, and you're going to cause unbelievable chaos and destruction, because I'm like the bottom of the totem pole of all the other me's who are much more powerful and will cause so much more damage. She's like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
I can't spend my whole life on a quest and not fulfill it because I'll feel like I've just wasted my time.
Right.
Or I've just been obsessing over one thing and I shouldn't have. This was going to make her complete.
Now, if you watch that scene, you'll notice there's not like heroic music when this occurs, when she stabs Kang. And there's an interview with Natalie Holt, the composer, on discussingfilm.net, in which Natalie talks about this scene with the director, and Natalie had initially scored this as like this big, like gigantic moment in the score, right? And the composer was like, "Whoa, take it back," because even though Sylvie has completed her goal, she has unleashed the multiverse and has to kind of then think about that fact. And so the music is very introspective, allowing us the viewer to kind of decide, oh, was this a good thing? Was this a bad thing? What happened? Like the music is not telling you what to think in this moment or what to feel. It's more of a reflection moment. Thought that was interesting. All right, so we've been dancing around He Who Remains / Kang, played by Jonathan Majors. Now, like he's just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I think he's crazy.
Well, we came out of that elevator with an apple. It's like, oh, all right, back away from this character. A character that's introduced with an apple, never a good sign.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess we won't see his character anymore, but we'll see different versions of Kang.
Played by the same actor.
Right. Played by the same actor. Most importantly in Quantumania, which is the new Ant-Man
3.
Wasp. Yes. Film coming out in like 2023 or something. So Meredith says his costume and makeup were so awesome. Yes, and the costume designer even said that she pulled different elements from different time periods just to show that he's a character who's kind of been different in different times. That kind of thing. So I thought that was neat. Yeah, but there's so much to talk about, but let's go into some press that I found. Some good articles.
Okay.
Are you ready? Or is there anything else you wanted to discuss? Okay. All right, so Loki, like the other two MCU series, was touched by the pandemic and was similarly changed a little bit because of the pandemic. So there's an article on /film that is a Kate Herron interview, and she is, of course, the director. And because of the pandemic, they rewrote episode 6 to be The Conversation. Because originally, episode 6 used to have this big action sequence across the beginning of it where Loki and Sylvie fought their way to He Who Remains' office. And yeah, but she was editing the episode 1 when they got shut down, and she was looking at the dailies and editing it and realizing that this series just has amazing actors, and just seeing them have a conversation was like had all this energy in it. Like it was just so interesting to watch these amazing actors work. And so she realized that she could just keep the energy going through episode 6 and it wouldn't feel slow. And here's a quote from her. For us, it felt like episode 5 is our massive spectacle. This is the Loki episode, the episode with all the Lokis. It's super fun. It's got a big monster. It's got all of the kind of crazy comic book references. I think for me, it was way more creepy anyway, with them going through this almost abandoned citadel. It's like a massive tension build until you meet this character of Kang. I think if there was action before that, the energy is lost. Then you have to build it up again. So I agree with this, because I remember watching it for the first time. You figured something was going to jump out of any corner at any time. Like when that elevator landed and the light came from the door, you're like, oh no, what's going to happen, So.
And you hear the crunch of the apple.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right, so then I found an interview on Marvel.com with Tom Hiddleston, and Tom Hiddleston loved Mobius's friendship almost as much as we did, Richard.
How could you not?
And he's very eloquent about talking about it. So I'm just going to read his quote because I can't say it better than him. I'm very moved by the idea of Loki and Mobius' friendship. I don't think Loki has allowed himself to have many friends. Because to have friends, you have to be vulnerable and you have to trust. Mobius is perhaps the first figure in Loki's life to sit across from him and reflect him back to himself without judgment, but somehow with compassion. Mobius is able to contain Loki and say, "This is who you are, and I understand." That feeling of compassion or lack of judgment is new for Loki. I mean, his father was constantly judging him, right? And it allows Loki to open up in a way that facilitates the genesis of this unique friendship. Mobius is also surprised by his affection for Loki, and then it's Loki who teaches Mobius about life outside the TVA, life before the TVA. Maybe he had a family, maybe he had a life, maybe he had a jet ski. They mean a lot to each other, and they've done a lot for each other.
Maybe he had a friend named Vince Vaughn. Chances are.
Very good. I love it.
Corwin of Amber is saying in the Sky Chat, you should watch the Everything Always YouTube channel video, Loki and WandaVision.
Finale scene
okay.
synced. I'm going to get into this.
You should watch the Everything Always YouTube channel video, Loki and WandaVision finale scene synced. Didn't we see that?
Yeah, we saw something. Someone put a mishmash together on Twitter. But yes, I'm sure. So yes, Corwin of Amber will be talking about that in just a little bit. I'm excited. But cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me get into the music now. Are you ready?
Yes.
Unless there's
Meredith Duckworth says Odin was just not a great dad.
No, that was not his focus.
He was a great dad to Thor.
Yeah, exactly. Poor Thor, Loki, and Hela. Yeah, but Thor he was his favorite. Yeah. Luckily, Loki's mom taught him magic, and anyway. Okay. Hold on. Because I have to get this ready. Where is my note? There we go. Okay. All right, guys, are we ready to dive into this soundtrack?
Oh yeah.
Which you've stated is one of your favorites.
One of my favorites, yeah. Because the music is so distinct.
It is.
Of course, you gotta love the Avengers theme by Alan Silvestri. Mm-hmm. But the rest, the soundtrack, and I'm not as big into music as you are, Sarah. So you may hear things that I don't. And I know you hear things that I don't, and maybe I can't appreciate it as much as you, but when you played the Loki soundtrack morning, noon, and night, it's like, no, play it again. Because I love how distinct the music is.
It's haunting.
It's very, very haunting. And maybe that's why I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me that Halloween is only 3 months away.
Ooh, what? Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
The WandaVision soundtrack is different just because they play on the sitcom bouncy jingles.
Yes. And each sitcom has like a different feel to it.
In terms of actual themes, wow, this is a dynamite soundtrack.
Yes.
And they've only released the soundtrack for episodes 1 through 3?
3 right now. As of the 23rd, so July 23rd, episodes 4 through 6 will be released. So probably by the time you hear this podcast, it'll be out and ready. So I'm so ready for that because there's a particular part that I'm going to play for you in this episode that I can't play right now. Yeah. But I'll tell you that.
Okay. Hopefully we'll have it by then.
All right. So on discussingfilm.net, I found this amazing article that is an interview with Natalie Holt, the composer. And luckily, the writer asked a bunch of questions I had for Natalie Holt. So I was like, yay, this is amazing. So one of the things that Natalie got from the director was to be really bold and adventurous on the outset of the soundtrack. It's like, this is what we want. And so I'm going to read this quote from Natalie. I got asked to do the project, and then Kate Herron, the director, had to go back to filming because they were shut down because of COVID. So she was sending me dailies of what they were taking with that performance from Jonathan Majors and how he was playing Kang. And she was just like, I just want you to see this stuff because I think it'll help you kind of write his theme. And so Natalie wrote this theme for Kang. But then she realized, oh, this should be the TVA theme because he's in charge of the whole thing. So the TVA theme that you hear over the titles, the TVA title card, is Kang's theme, right? And this is, she wanted it to feel like these huge chords were taking over everything. So here, I'm going to play it here.
So there's the Loki haunting theme.
Right. But then there's the TVA theme. So this is the TVA theme. And we'll get into the Loki theme a little later. Also, I want you to notice there's ticking clocks in like all these themes.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's a good louder. Those are the giant chords.
That has a very John Carpenter feel to it.
Ah, yeah.
Like Michael Myers is going to cause another Nexus event.
It does. That's amazing. Okay, now one of the things I realized when listening to this soundtrack, especially track 5, which is the Loki Green theme, is that it has these classical arpeggios done by strings that are straight out of Ride of the Valkyries by Wagner, if you know that piece. And so I'm going to play this for you, and then we're going to talk about what Natalie Holt said about it. So here you go. This is Loki's Green theme. But do you hear that rum, rum?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
some headbanging music there.
But that, I mean, there's no mistaking those little arpeggiated chords. So I'm going to play Ride of the Valkyries here. But yeah, you can really hear them at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Those rum, rum. So I was like, okay, there's a reason she's doing this. And luckily, Natalie does have a reason. So she says when she came up with Loki's theme, she wanted something over the top of it to balance it, like a flourish. And she says, I wanted to have some kind of calling to a piece of classical music for that Shakespearean weight that Tom plays the character with. I was kind of trying out these little flourishes from Mozart or all sorts of things. Then I hit on that idea of using those rips, like from the Ride of the Valkyries by Wagner. So she used his style of arpeggiated string figures rushing up and down, and that is what she did. So I was like, yes, bam, called it. I thought that was so cool.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I thought maybe it spoke more to his character, but I do appreciate the whole reference to his Shakespeareanness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I thought that was cool.
It's always great when composers understand the history of a soundtrack, of a theme that they can play off of that.
Mm-hmm. It was neat. All right, so then Natalie even goes on to talk about a specific point in episode 5 where classic Loki rebuilds Asgard as the distraction for Eliath, right? So he rebuilt Asgard, and all of a sudden you're hearing this heroic music for Loki, and it is the Ride of the Valkyries. It's like that's the theme that's playing right then. And so Natalie says, when I saw that classic Loki performance, I was like, I could use that Ride of the Valkyries theme because he's building Asgard and he's classic. He's kind of like this old version of Loki, so she uses the old version of the music.
Wow.
Yeah.
They got the right woman to do this job.
I know. And Kate Herron was like, yeah, try it. And then, yeah, it worked. So, woohoo! Yay! I love learning this. It's so great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Should we jump right into...
Yeah, do we want to go to the... Oh, yeah, sure. Shout-outs? Or...
Pick it up with...
Oh, this...
One.
The fan theory?
No, it's the season 2.
Well, I do want to mention this, actually.
Okay.
All right, so we're getting a comment in the Sky Chat from Corwin of Amber that we should watch the Everything Always YouTube channel, which is Loki and WandaVision finale scenes synced. And yes, so there's this fan theory going around that when Sylvie kills He Who Remains, and then the camera pans to like the window where you see the timeline branching into thousands of branches, creating the multiverse, that this is happening at the same time as the WandaVision finale, the end credits scene, where she is studying the bad book and she's meditating, and then all of a sudden she hears her kids. And so what people are saying, speculating, is that when Sylvie unleashes the multiverse is at the same time as when Wanda is meditating, and that's when she hears her kids, because all of a sudden she can hear them across multiverses, because she is a Nexus being, which means she doesn't change in all the different multiverses. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
But... Yeah, is this one of these things that do you think really is going on? Or
I do.
Is it one of these things that, you know what, you can line up the film any which way, you can keep on moving the film around until they finally sync up. Like, oh, okay, well, one leads into the other.
I think it makes a lot of sense, because for one thing, the WandaVision scene is end credits. So it could happen however much span of time after the whole WandaVision series.
Okay.
Yeah. I love it. I love it personally.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah,
Okay. Remember. Yeah. Do you don't really think so, or?
No, I just think that you could get these two pieces of film. It's like editing, and you keep on moving the pieces around until they finally line up the way you want them to.
We're not talking about editing. We're talking about like.
Well, I know,
MCU...
but I'm making an analogy.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That you can move these pieces around.
Got it.
You can move her kids screaming a minute after Kang is destroyed, and maybe there's some kind of a delay. She's in Wanda's world. So Wanda's out in the woods. Maybe the impact doesn't reach her for another minute or so.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, so it's a fun theory.
Right. So why?
And I hope that is the case.
Yeah.
Because it's Kevin Feige, so it's the case. All right, I'm sold. I'm sold.
Okay, good.
All they had to say was, "Hey, Kevin Feige says this."
How about Kevin Feige and Meredith Duckworth say, "Meanwhile."
Meanwhile. Okay.
So we're watching Loki, and meanwhile on WandaVision, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
How's that? Does that work
good.
for you?
Yes. Oh, she's making a reference to our last Friday night discussion when Dave Scale had to say, "Rich, what they mean is meanwhile."
Yes.
Back over here in WandaVision land.
Yes.
Like, oh, see, the meanwhile word just bridges everything together, and everyone's happy.
And if you are interested in those discussions, we do save those, and they're available for our Skywalking Force, which is our Patreon. So you can go to skywalkingforce.com to check those out.
Meanwhile,
Disney
Plus is working. They are in pre-production for Loki season 2.
Yes.
So if they called you up right now, so if they called you up right now and said, "Hey, sweetie Sarah, what do you want to see in Loki season 2?" First, I would say, "Hey, she's only my sweetie." Now go on with the rest of the question.
Excuse me. All right, well, this season really focused a lot on Loki's character journey, so I've already mentioned I'd love to see a Sylvie character journey. I'd also love to see more Mobius and Loki because they're just gold on screen. I love it. And I would be interested in seeing a love triangle between the three of them, Sylvie, Loki, and Mobius.
That's just weird.
And I know it sounds weird, but Loki is interested in both sexes, and I'm curious how this would play out on the MCU. So I'm just putting it out there.
And that part is not the weird part, because Loki, he's happy.
Oh yeah.
What gender? I mean,
gender fluid or bisexual.
Yeah.
You're right.
That the weird part is 2 parts Loki, 1 part Mobius.
Yeah. I guess that is okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah, that's the.
But to me,
so it really wouldn't be a 3-parter. It would.
Well, Sylvie and Loki to me are totally different. Like I know they come from different multiverses, and yeah. But I just think that would be an interesting way to explore that sexuality in the MCU. So I'm putting it out there.
Okay, this is totally fan service, but I don't care. You know how in Endgame where the Avengers went to past scenes from past films?
Yes.
And integrated themselves? I want to see them composite Sylvie into scenes from past MCU films.
Like that Loki was in?
And that anyone was in. Maybe she goes back in the timeline and she watches the scene where Black Widow sacrifices herself. Maybe she's there. Maybe she's there during the Battle of New York. Maybe she's there during the Sokovia Accords and she's enchanting people like, no, don't do that. Yeah, you do that to cause chaos and destruction and to cause this conflict within the infrastructure.
Wow. I like it.
I do too. It's completely fan service, but I love fan service.
Wow.
That's what I want to see. It's the whole series of them putting Sylvie into past MCU films.
Okay. But on a character journey.
Oh, okay. I don't care about that.
You're funny. Okay.
It's a very shallow answer, but yeah, it is what it is.
All right, well, that leads into our shout-outs. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just pausing for the...
Yes. All right, so Bryn also has a comment about season 2. So I'm going to play, she sent in a voice memo. So I'm going to play her voice memo. Oh, yeah. Sure. So Bryn McKinnon, who is my co-host.
Let's start with, as we're going into shout-outs. For shout-outs, we're going to.
Okay.
All right, so for shout-outs, we're going to read some of these Facebook comments, and we have a voice message here from Bryn McKinnon.
Yes, she is my co-host on Totally Tell Me Everything, and she also is excited about a season 2, but I think you'll have to hear her voice memo to hear just how excited she is. So she explains that she was in a dark room by herself, and she jumped up and down and clapped when she saw the season 2 coming. By herself. I thought that was cute.
Every headline I saw coming up on social media that Wednesday, everyone said, Loki season 2 is going to be happening.
Yes.
And I didn't know how they got that information.
Right.
But now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Luckily, Bren wasn't paying attention to the media because that was a surprise to her in the moment.
Yeah, I'm a little ticked off with social media.
Oh, really?
But then again, it's 2021.
Yeah.
You got to accept it.
I mean,
I missed the moment where I discovered that announcement for myself.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Like, I just thought it was news.
Yeah, so did I.
Okay.
So I didn't think twice about it.
All right.
But when we saw it as the tag,
we
got excited. But I think the excitement would have been that much more.
Right. Had we not
enhanced.
Right.
Had we not seen the 55 social media headlines that morning.
I agree. All right, so let's go into some Facebook comments here, and also in the Sky Chat, if you'd like to sum up your feelings on Loki.
On anything, yeah.
The series, yes.
All right, Rex Gordon says, it's an epic show. My fave MCU character is Tony Stark, but Loki is a close second. He grew in this show, and the multiverse means anything can happen. Great job. He grew in this show, and the multiverse means anything can happen. Great job.
Now, Jonathan Heil says, the show felt a lot like a stage play to me with the massive amounts of dialogue in the show. But that's a good thing. We got very little action in the show and lots of plot development. It wasn't easy to introduce the idea of a multiverse to a massive audience, many whom hadn't ever read comics or were intimately familiar with the source material. The writing on Loki was able to accomplish this with incredible skill.
Hear, hear. Gary Oransky says, I like what they did with the show. Definitely had a Doctor Who vibe with the comedic tone and the wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey side of things. I'll take your word for that. I felt a little let down by the episode because we don't know Doctor Who. Because we don't know Doctor Who. I felt a little let down by the last episode. I felt He Who Remained was a bit of an exposition dump, even though I enjoyed how Jonathan Majors performed the role and look forward to see what he does with Kang. You only have so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. They just told a lot instead of showing it. I know what their ultimate end game was to get people prepared for the next MCU phase, but to me, it felt like they had more story to tell and needed a few more episodes to tell it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, I do know someone else who felt that way as well.
Yeah, they should have really introduced Kang much earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was an expositional dump.
Okay.
Because of the nature of things.
Right, and the whole multiverse thing. I thought that ended up being explained very well. All right, so Courtney Turkel says, overall, I really enjoyed the show. I love how it's going to affect the multiverse, but I was not really thrilled with Loki and Sylvie having feelings toward each other when they are both supposed to be a Loki. I very much look forward to the next phase of the MCU, and I am very happy we are getting a second season. All in all, I thought the storyline was awesome, and everyone did a wonderful job acting.
Mm-hmm. Meredith Duckworth, who's right here in the Sky Chat. She writes in our Facebook group, it was a roller coaster dark ride from beginning to end. Every episode leaves you wondering what's next, but it's always in a good way.
All right, Kelly Turkel writes, I thought we saw a lot of growth in Loki in the series, as he pretty much questioned every choice that was being made, and I loved seeing him as a hero rather than a mischievous villain, although I love that side of him too. Loved the series, can't wait to see where it goes and what's next for the MCU. And this kind of dovetails into Corwin of Amber's comment here in the Sky Chat, who writes, the show was exceptionally fun, but I am not sure that Loki needed a redemption arc. Bad for bad's sake is a viable arc. People loved him that way, and there was no need to soften him. So I love those two juxtapositions. Yeah. I loved his character journey, but I also I go watch Avengers if I want to see Loki bad for bad's sake.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, Loki will always be Loki, always be that little kid screaming for attention, trying to get out of that adult body.
There you go.
All right, Joey Pittman says, it was a show that I didn't think we needed when first announced, but enjoyed the heck out of it and how it affects the start of the new phase.
Nice. And Teresa Delgado, my co-host on Fangirls Going Rogue, says, I loved the darkness and the mystery, and I like Loki as a character even more now. I was able to follow along fine as someone that does not read Marvel Comics and only watches the MCU. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is still my favorite show so far, but I did really like this one as well. And I know she did not like WandaVision.
Well, how?
I know, and she's like my best friend, and I don't know.
Sweetie, not anymore.
Oh.
Not anymore, she's not. All right? I'll give you the afternoon to break the bad news.
Okay.
All right, Mike Delicard says it very, very simply. I love Loki, and I love the series, and all the variant Lokis too.
With 3 green hearts.
All right, we'll wrap it up with Sean Brian McGuire, who says Crocodile Loki, or Croaky. Let that one sink in. Croaky was a clear favorite. I need more of him in my life.
Well, you can get more. There are now socks. There's T-shirts. There's like pins. Yeah, Crocodile Loki is everywhere.
How soon do we go to a Disney store and there's just a wall full of plush Croakies?
I need me my plush Croaky. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. I need me my plush Croaky.
I wonder how much Croaky understands what's going on.
He understood everything. Just only certain people could understand him. It's like Chewbacca.
Okay.
It was very much like that.
Well, alligators have a brain the size of a peanut.
Meredith says there's a body pillow.
Meredith, we're gonna need you to put that in the Skywalking Facebook group. Please put the link in there.
That picture and the link. Thank you.
Where do you go from there?
Body pillow and socks. That's all we need.
The only place we can go from there is to wrap up 335 of Skywalking Through Neverland. I feel like this is the wrap on Loki itself until 2022.
Yes.
So we want to thank all of you Skywalkers for weighing in on Loki Season 1. And thank you for joining us on the live stream. Thank you for everything that you do for us. Thank you for commenting on all of our Facebook posts, our YouTube videos. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Now this week, we have our monthly Friday night pop culture trivia.
Yeah, we do.
So it is Friday, July 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and there's going to be 3 rounds.
Yeah, one round is National Lampoon's Vacation, one of the best comedies ever. Film quotes from July film releases.
That's another category.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Disney rides turned into films.
Ooh, fun! Like Jungle Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Celebrating the release of Jungle Cruise next week.
Ooh, yes. Then we are going to roll into our Bad Batch discussion after that ends, and so about 7:45 p.m. Pacific. And this week's episode is Infected, which is episode 13 out of 16, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're heading for the finale.
Wow. All right, Skywalker, so sign up for our newsletter where you can find all this information. You can do that by clicking on the link in our show notes or heading to skywalkingnetwork.com and click on the link, sign up for our newsletter. We also want to thank our sponsor, Small World Vacations, for their support. Are you thinking of a trip to Disney parks?
Yeah.
Well, you can fill out a Get a Quote form at smallworldvacations.com today, and their service is free of charge for you. So check it out and tell them that Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Now, do you love Skywalking Through Neverland?
Yes, I do.
Do you love all the Marvel and Star Wars shows coming to Disney Plus?
Yeah, we just talked about it.
Oh, good. Well, consider becoming a member of the Skywalking Force, which is our Patreon. Here we are posting our WandaVision Zoom chats and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all these fun audio chats that we do every Friday night, and something else.
So to check those out, yeah, so it's just too much. Here, just do this.
So to check all those out, head over. What was that last thing I said?
Here we are posting all of our Zoom chats, our Disney Plus.
So to hear all this fun, great commentary, go over there to skywalkingforce.com and have a look at all the options. And thank you to all those who have already become part of the Skywalking Force.
We are part of the Skywalking Network,
Skynet,
where you can also find other great shows like Talking Apes,
classic Marvel Star Wars comics,
the Max Effects Podcast,
the Neverland Clubhouse,
Resilience Squadron,
Totally Tell Me Everything,
and Star Wars Ologies,
and the very brand new Collectopolis,
which is a YouTube show on our YouTube channel. So, this is so exciting, you guys. The Skywalking Network is growing, And we just have so much content. It's amazing. You can find us on social media. Just search at Skywalking Pod on your social media of choice. Or you can email us, share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com. You can also join our Facebook group. So search Facebook for Skywalking Through Neverland group and request to join and answer the questions that pop up, or we can't let you in.
Or you can email at share@skywalking. Did you say this?
Yes.
Okay, I was reading comments. All right, now don't forget to stick around for bloopers and other fun bits that didn't make it into the show. And
always remember, for all time.
Always.
Nice. All right.
Meredith Duckworth says head.
What?
Meredith Duckworth says head.
What does that mean?
That's the Monkeys movie.
Well, I've got to go because in 10 minutes I got another recording.
Okay, so we're going to stop this.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, but I need you to put this on the timeline.
Okay.
All right,
Skywalkers. Well, we got to go. Thank you so much for sticking with us.
Meredith, were you referring to the Monkeys movie? Let us know. Okay, Sarah's got to go.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you later.